Good evening. It is time for dinner. We are at Genesis chapter 36. And this is the genealogy of Esau, who is Edom. Esau took his wives from the daughters of Canaan, Adah, the daughter of Elon, the Hittite, and Oholibamah, the daughter of Anah, and the daughter of Zebon, the Hivite, and Basemath, Ishmael's daughter, sister of Nebaioth. And Adah bore Eliphaz to Esau, and Basemath bore Reuel, and Oholibamah bore Yeush, and Yalam, and Korah. These were the sons of Esau, who were born to him in the land of Canaan. And Esau took his wives and his sons and his daughters and all the beings of his household and his herds and all his beasts and all his possessions which he had gained in the land of Canaan, and went to the land away from the presence of his brother Jacob, for their possessions were too great for them to dwell together, and the land of their sojourning could not support them because of their herds. So Esau dwelt in Mount Seir. Esau is Edom. And this is the genealogy of Esau, the father of the Edomites, in Mount Seir. These were the names of Esau's sons: Eliphaz, son of Adah, wife of Esau, and Reuel, son of Basemath, wife of Esau. And the sons of Eliphaz were Teman, Omar, Sepho, and Gatam, and Kenaz. And Timah was the concubine of Eliphaz, Esau's son, and she bore Amalek to Eliphaz. These were the sons of Adah, Esau's wife. These were the sons of Reuel, Nahath, and Zerah, Shema, and Mizah. These were the sons of Basemath's, Esau's wife. These were the sons of Oholibamah. It's a tough one. Daughter of Zebon. And she bore to Esau Yeush, and Yalam, and Korah. These were the chiefs of the sons of Esau. The sons of Eliphaz, the firstborn son of Esau, were chief Teman, chief Omar, chief Sepho, chief Kenaz, chief Korah, chief Gatam, chief Amalek. These were the chiefs of Eliphaz in the land of Edom. They were the sons of Adah. And these were the sons of Reuel, Esau's son, chief Nahath, chief Zerah, chief Shema, and chief Mizah. These were the chiefs of Reuel in the land of Edom. These were the sons of Basemath, Esau's wife. And these were the sons of Oholibamah, Esau's wife: chief Yeush, chief Yalam, and chief Korah. These were the chiefs descending from Oholibamah's, Esau's wife, the daughter of Anah. These were the sons of Esau, who is Edom, and these were their chiefs. These were the sons of Seir the Horite, who inhabited the land, Lotan, and Shobal, and Sebon, and Anah, and Dishon, and Etzer, and Dishan. These were the chiefs of the Horites, the sons of Seir, in the land of Edom. And the sons of Lotan were Hori, and Hemam, Lotan's sister was Timnah. And these were the sons of Shobal, Alvan, and Manahath, and Ebal, Shepho, and Onam. And these were the sons of Sibon, both Aya and Anna. This was the Anna who found the water in the wilderness, as he fed the donkeys and of his fathers Sibon. And these were the children of Anah, Dishon, and Oholibamah, the daughter of Anah. And these were the sons of Dishon, Hamdan, and Eshban, and Yithran, and Cheran. These were the sons of Etzer, Bilhan, and Zaawan, and Akan. These were the sons of Dishan, Utz, and Aran. These were the chiefs of the Horites, chief Lotan, chief Shabal, chief Sibon, chief Anah, chief Dishon, chief Etzer, and chief Dishan. These were the chiefs of the Horites, according to their chiefs in the land of Seir. And these were the sovereigns who reigned in the land of Edom. Both any sovereign reigned over the children of Yisrael. And Bela, the son of Beor, reigned in Edom, and the name of his city was Dinhabah. And Bela died, and Hobab, son of Zerah, of Botzrah, reigned in his place. And Jobab died, and Husham of the land of Temanites reigned in his place. And Husham died, and Hadad, son of Bedad, who struck Midian in the field of Moab, reigned in this place, and the name of his city was Avith. And Hadad died, and Samlah of Masrekah reigned in his place. And Samlah died, and Shaul of Rehoboth by the river reigned in his place. And Shaul died, and Baal-Hanan, son of Achbor, reigned in his place. And Baal-Hanan, son of Achbor, died, and Hadar reigned in his place. And the name of his city was Pau, and his wife's name was Mehetab-el, the daughter of Matred, the daughter of Mezahab. And these were the names of the chiefs of Esau, according to their clans and their places, by the names: Chief Timnah, Chief Alvah, Chief Yetheth, Chief Oholibamah, Chief Allah, Chief Pinon, Chief Kenaz, Chief Teman, Chief Mibsar, Chief Magdiel, Chief Aram. These were the chiefs of Edom, according to their dwelling places, in the land of their possession. Esau was the father of the Edomites. And Yaakov dwelt in the land of his father's sojourning, in the land of Canaan. This is the genealogy of Yaakov. Joseph, being 17 years old, was feeding the flock with his brothers, and the young man was the son was with the sons of Bilhah and the sons of Zilpah, his father's wives. And Joseph brought an evil report of them to his father. And Israel loved Joseph more than all his children, because he was the son of his old age. And he made him a long robe. But when his brothers saw that their father loved him more than all his brothers, they hated him, and were not able to speak peaceably to him. And Joseph dreamed a dream and told it to his brothers, so they hated him even more. And he said to them, "Please, listen to this dream which I have dreamed. See, we were binding sheaves in the midst of the field, and see, my sheaf rose up and stood up, and see, your sheaves stood all around and bowed down to my sheaf. And his brothers said to him, Shall you indeed reign over us? Shall you indeed rule over us? So they hated him even more for his dreams and for his words. And he dreamed still another dream, and related it to his brothers, and said, See, I have dreamed another dream, and see, the sun and the moon and the 11 stars bowed down to me. And he related it to his father and his brothers, and his father rebuked him and said to him, What is this dream that you have dreamed? Shall we, your mother and I and your brothers indeed, come to bow down to the earth before you? And his brothers envied him, but his father guarded the word. And his brothers went to feed their father's flocks in Shechem. And Yisrael said to Joseph, Are not your brothers feeding the flock in Shechem? Come, I send you to them. So he said to him, Here I am. And he said to him, Please go and see if it is well with your brothers and well with the sheep, and bring back word to me. So he sent him out of the valley of Hebron, and he went to Shechem. And a certain man found him, and see, he was wandering in the field, and the man asked him, saying, What do you seek? And he said, I am seeking my brothers. Please inform me where they are feeding their sheep. And the man said, They have left there, for I heard them say, Let us go toward Dothan. So Joseph went after his brothers and found them in Dothan. And they said to him from a distance, and they saw him from a distance. And before he came near them, they plotted against him to kill him. And they said to each other, See, this master of dreams is coming. Now, then, come, and let us now kill him, and throw him into some pit, and shall say, Some wild beast has devoured him. Let us then see what comes of his dreams. But Reuben heard and rescued him from their hands, and said, Let us not strike his being. And Reuben said to them, Shed no blood. Throw him into this pit which is in the wilderness, and do not lay a hand on him, in order to rescue him out of their hands, and bring him back to his father. So it came to be, when Joseph had come to his brothers, that they stripped Joseph of his robe, the long robe which was on him. And they took him and threw him into a pit, and the pit was empty, there was no water in it. And they sat down to eat a meal, and they lifted their eyes and looked, and saw a company of Ishmaelites coming from Gilead with their camels, bearing spices and balm and myrrh, going to take them down to Mizraim. And Yehudah said to his brothers, What would we gain if we kill our brother and conceal his blood? Come, and let us sell him to the Ishmaelites, and let not our hand be upon him, for he is our brother, our flesh. And his brothers listened. And men, Midianite traders, passed by. So they pulled Joseph up and lifted him out of the pit, and sold him to the Ishmaelites for 20 pieces of silver. And they took Joseph to Mizraim. And Reuben returned to the pit, and see, Joseph was not in the pit, and he tore his garments. And he returned to his brothers and said, The boy is gone, and I, where am I to go? And they took Joseph's robe, slew a male goat, and dipped the robe in the blood, and sent the long robe and brought it to their father, and said, We have found this. Please look, it is the robe of your son or not? And he recognized it and said, It is my son's robe. An evil beast has devoured him. Joseph is torn to pieces. And Yaakov tore his garments. and put sackcloth on his waist, and mourned for his son many days. And all his sons and all his daughters arose to comfort him, but he refused to be comforted, and he said, Now let me go down into Sheol, to my son in mourning. So his father wept for him. And the Midianites had sold him in Mizraim to Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh and captain of the guard. And at that time it came to be that Yehudah left his brothers, and turned aside to a man, an Adulamite, whose name was Hirah. And Yehudah saw there a daughter of a certain Canaanite, whose name was Shuvah. And he took her and went into her. So she conceived and bore a son, and called his name And she conceived again and bore a son, and called his name Onan. And she conceived yet again and bore a son, and called his name Shelah. And he was at Kezib when she bore him. And Yehudah took a wife for his firstborn, and her name was Tamar. But Yehudah's firstborn, was evil in the eyes of Jehovah, and Jehovah took his wife. And Yehudah said to Onan, Go into your brother's wife and marry her, and raise up an heir to your brother. And Onan knew that the offspring would not be his, and it came to be, when he went into his brother's wife, that he spilled on the ground, lest he should give an offspring to his brother. But what he did displeased Jehovah, so he took his life too. Then Yehudah said to Tamar, his daughter-in-law, Remain a widow in your father's house until my son Shelah is grown. For he said, lest he also die as his brothers did. And Tamar went and dwelt in her father's house. And after a long time the daughter of Shuvah, Yehudah's wife, died. And Yehudah was comforted, and went up to his sheep shearer at Timnah, he and his friend Hirah the Adulamite. And it was reported to Tamar, saying, See, your father-in-law is going up to Timnah to shear his sheep. And she took off her widow's garments, and covered herself with a veil, and wrapped herself, and sat at the entrance of Enayim, which was on the way to Timnah. For she saw that Shelah was grown, and she was not given to him his wife. And Yehudah saw her, and reckoned her for a whore, for she had covered her face. And he turned aside to her by the way, and said, Please let me come in to you. For he did not know that she was his daughter-in-law. And she said, What do you give me to come in to me? And he said, Let me send you a young goat from the flock. And she said, Do you give me a pledge until you send it? So he said, What pledge should I give you? And she said, Your seal and your cord and your staff that is in your hand. And he gave them to her, and went into her, and she conceived by him. And she arose and went away, and removed her veil, and put on the garments of her widowhood. And Yehudah sent the young goat by the hand of his friend the Adulamite, to receive his pledge from the women's hand, but he did not find her. And he asked the men of that place, saying, Where is the cult prostitute who is beside the way to Enayim? And they said, There was no cult prostitute in this place. And he returned to Yehudah and said, I have not found her. And the men of the place also said, There was no cult prostitute in this place. And Yehudah said, Let her take them for herself, lest we become despised. For I sent this young goat, and you have not found her. And it came to be about 3 new moons after that Yehudah was informed, saying, Tamar, your daughter-in-law, has whored, and see, she has conceived by whoring. And Yehudah said, Bring her out, and let her be burned. When she was brought out, she sent to her father-in-law, saying, By the man to whom these belong, I am pregnant. And she said, Please examine whose these are, the seal and the cord and the staff. And Yehudah examined and said, She has been more righteous than I, because I did not give her to Shelah my son. And he never knew her again. And it came to be, at the time for giving birth, that see, twins were in her womb. And it came to be, when she was giving birth, that the one put out his hand, and the midwife took a scarlet thread and bound it on his hand, saying, This one came out first. And it came to be, as he drew back his hand, that see, his brother came out. And she said, How did you break through? This breach be upon you. So his name was called Peretz. And afterward his brother came out, who had the scarlet thread on his hand. So his name was Zerah.